the journey to the center of myself. As a 22-year-old college student, having kids was nowhere near my radar. If and when I did have kids, I'd make sure that I was a successful career woman, so they wouldn't have to know a life of financial worry and struggle like I had grown up knowing. My problem was that I changed majors every semester with no real direction. I never secured a career that felt right in my mind. I had no idea what I saw myself doing. I just knew that I wanted to help people. Even so, I kept on. I figured it out eventually. But then I fell in love. Aaron and I met in Austin and became inseparable. He was a dishwasher at a local bar on 6th Street. That summer was spent together in my college apartment, watching the World Cup, eating pizza and ice cream, drinking beer, and having a lot of sex. It was magical. I just wanted to be with him. I quit college and got an awesome job as a restaurant cashier, making $8.50 an hour. Smart choice, I know. We were living in Austin, sharing an apartment with our friend. We didn't have much of anything except love, and that was enough for us. My period was never late, until it was. Ignoring a few of the classic signs, I convinced myself that I wasn't pregnant. It was not possible. I walked home from work that day with a pregnancy test in my backpack, bought with money borrowed from a coworker. I talked to myself out of being pregnant the whole walk home. I took the test and waited. Positive. I looked at the box to ensure that was what the lines meant. Positive. I held my belly and sobbed. I was terrified. I called Aaron at work to tell him the news. He was surprised, but he assured me that everything would be okay. All I could do was cry. We shared the results with all of our close family and friends and knew that big changes were ahead. We moved to be closer to my family and so that we could have the same midwife that my sister used for the birth of my nephew. I transferred to a local restaurant and began serving a more affluent base of customers. As silly as it may seem, I would often recite Eleanor Roosevelt's words, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent," to myself. As my belly began to expand, I felt shame for being a pregnant cashier. I never saw this for myself. I couldn't wait until my last day, and once that day arrived, I never went back. I nested in preparation for our daughter's arrival. I ate tons of Ben & Jerry's while doing figure eights on my birthday ball. Aaron and I practiced our relaxation breathing techniques over and over again. I was ready. I had contractions for what felt like the longest 3 days of my life, and then at 3:45 a.m. on July 20th, 2011, our Julia was here. She was perfect. It was surreal to finally hold her, to see her, smell her, and it felt completely natural. I loved staying home with her, but some things were different. I started dealing with extreme anxiety. I was anxious about nursing her in public, as well as not being able to afford to go out if we had an invitation. So outings and social situations were very difficult for me. I had to start dealing with making decisions that other people might not agree with, which made my anxiety even worse. It was strange and uncharted territory. I've dealt with anxiety privately, but now I had to share this flaw with the people I loved the most. I felt exposed. Feeling the urge to get back to our dream city, we moved back to Austin with high hopes for our future. Aaron was about to start going to school full-time while also working full-time. He did delivery and courier jobs, which meant he always had to have the car, the only one we had. This meant that Julia and I were home nearly all the time, just the two of us. We were still living at poverty level, and we had food stamps, which was humiliating. Our car payment was 2 months behind, and they would call us multiple times a day, every day. We paid our electricity in small payments to keep it on. Our tiny apartment was infested with cockroaches. Aaron and I were stressed beyond any level either of us had ever experienced. We were fighting often. I felt increasingly isolated and depressed. I spoke to few about this. I did this to myself. I felt that I deserved to feel this way. I just wanted it to get better. An expiring lease, rising living costs, and bed bugs ended our 2 years in Austin, and I was more than happy to say goodbye. We ended up in Groves, of all places, in a beautiful house right down the road from a refinery. It's never where I thought I'd be, even though Aaron's family is from Southeast Texas, but I'm happy to be here. I was pushed out of my comfort zone, which has and continues to serve me well. I've connected with an incredible group of women who've helped me reach one of my personal goals of becoming a doula, a pregnancy, labor, and birth supporter, and offered their friendship and unwavering support. I've learned to quit placing importance on what I think others are thinking of me. Why worry? I've learned that conflict is okay. I've learned to admit if I've done wrong and take steps to make it better. I've learned to acknowledge when I'm overanalyzing a situation. I've learned to stop fearing the unknown and that failure or perceived failure is just an opportunity for improvement. I've learned that learning doesn't stop, and I'm continuing to find what it is that I'm meant to do in this world. Thus far, motherhood has taken me on an intense ride, and it's what has propelled me forward. I'm doing things I never saw myself doing, that I never knew I had any interest in doing before I became a mom. I want Julia to know that having her pushes me to work toward being my best, to get outside of my safe space and challenge myself, because that's the kind of mother that she deserves, and that's the Tiara that I deserve. I look forward to seeing the person my sweet Julia becomes, and how our bond will strengthen as she gets older. She will always be my girl, and I will always be her mama. Thank you.